Anti-slave question everything.
Anti-slave question everything. Anti-slave question everything.
Welcome to Anti-slave question everything.
Question everything. Question everything. Anti-slave question everything. Anti-slave question everything.
Anti-slave question everything.
Anti-slave question everything. Anti-slave question everything. Anti-slave question everything. Welcome to Anti-slave question everything.
Hello and welcome. Thank you all for tuning in to yet another fun-filled episode of Anti-Slave Question Everything. As usual, this is your host, Beau Diggles, and I'm here to spread truth and world lies. Today, we'll be talking to Marcel about general simulation theory and the book that he is working on. It is a very awesome conversation, and I encourage y'all to listen to it. He has an account on this website called medium.com. It's for authors and content creators to post stuff to it, and I will include the link to his account into the description of this video so you guys can follow it. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to say, and I read a lot of his shit, and it's pretty cool, so I encourage you guys to read it as well. But before we get to the conversation, I have a few things that I would like to say to you. My podcast is now available on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and if you happen to be listening to it on either of those platforms, I would appreciate it if you followed my show and left me a review. Any feedback is appreciated, and I love to hear what you guys have to say. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed to my channel. Going forward, I'm going to have to tone what I say down on YouTube in the content that I release, because I'm on my second strike now, and if I get one more, then they're going to completely remove my YouTube from the internet. And since I actually get a decent amount of response from people on my YouTube channel, I don't really want to let it get deleted. So I'm just going to not talk about stuff they don't want me to talk about on that channel, I guess. I've been really pushing the envelope with YouTube, and they're getting tired of me. So to my YouTube audience, I do encourage you to follow me on another alternative platform, as I can be popping off more on those platforms because they're not so butthurt. I'm on Rumble, Spotify, BitChute, pretty much anywhere you just want to look it up, AntiSlave QE, you'll find me. For my socials, I do have Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can find all of those accounts at AntiSlave QE. I also have a subreddit that I post some pretty consistent, hard-hitting conspiracy content on, so if you sound interested in that, you can follow me at r/AntiSlaveQE there. Also, if you are a listener and you want to get on my show and talk about anything, whether it be a theory, an experience, anything, you can email me at antislaveqe@outlook.com. You can also instantly direct message me, instant message me at any of the provided socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, any of those. And I will also include the my LinkedIn in the video description or podcast description, so you can find all of that. Now, with all that out of the way, I present to you my conversation with Marcel talking about simulation theory and his book. Enjoy it. Okay, right on. Hello and welcome to Anti-Slave Question Everything. We are here today. Oh, this is the #1 internet show amongst internet shows that has ever internet showed on the internet. We are here talking today with Marcel. We are going to dive into some of the stuff that he is including in his new book and the things that I have read on, I think it's the website you said was the Medium?
Medium, yeah. Kind of fitting.
Yeah, it is. It's the first time that I've ever actually seen anything on that website. I wouldn't be one really though to frequent on those. I do consider myself a content creator, but it's mostly just me spewing bullshit out of my mouth instead of just, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome to my world. Yeah. Did I just find my twin out there that I never knew about? Wow.
That's
mind
right.
blown.
Mind blown. Yeah, I'm a what do they call that? It's like a
it's like a matrix.
Yeah.
Doppelganger.
That's the word that I was looking for. Yeah, I'm the doppelganger
Ask
on
me
the other
about
side of the
words.
Zoom
They're
call.
completely useless. Yeah. We might be actually the same person, and this might actually be a very sophisticated kind of mirror. Actually, it is very possible with the level of AI technology that we have at our disposal nowadays that we are the same person, and there's an AI that is transforming your face to look another way, like another person. So it may actually be only you on the show right now.
I could be speaking to one inner self, right? Because everything could just be rolling out for me.
Yeah.
For me. I just saw this funny TikTok I just saw this funny TikTok. Oh man, I kind of botched the
You
introduction.
like those things?
I love those things. I do. It is my guilty
Oh
pleasure.
my gosh.
I do want
I'm
to
too
though.
old for that.
Before we get into like any of the conversations, I want to let you go ahead and if you have any like social media or anything that or anywhere that any of the listeners can find you so they can see what I saw, you know, you can go ahead and
Oh
let
yeah,
them
I'd love
know
that.
who you are
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
where
yeah,
people
yeah,
can
yeah.
find you.
I don't even know who I am, but that would be great because if people know who I am, maybe they can let me know. I mean, I've been waiting to find out for so long. Like, it's about time. People, please let me know. So bad, so bad. Send me that TikTok link.
I
I
will.
need to be more active there because I'm totally clueless. Like totally, I'm still stuck in the Facebook/email era, and like I'm a total dinosaur. And people believe that those have died out, but here I am. So, reptilians. I mean,
Living in
what
the
can I
flesh.
say? We're living in the flesh. We're old-fashioned. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just put on some makeup so that I don't look as green. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope it works. Yeah, I'll go some great. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny, man. So I have been looking. Let me pull some of this up really quick. Right here, medium.com. So I was one of the first things that I got into and looked at is the chapter in your book that says, if this is a simulation, how do we get out?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fun one because there's no way out. It's basically a whole chapter about nothing. So people feel free to waste your time. But yeah, yeah, yeah. What did you like about it? What made an impression?
So it is often said that we are living in a simulation. This may be true, but what exactly does that mean? And what implications does it have for our lives? So
Yeah,
what implications does it
yeah,
have for our lives? If this is, why is it? And how is it? You know,
yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want to get too dry and scientific because people might like die of boredom or something. But according to current physics and mathematics, it's kind of impossible that we are not living in some kind of a simulation because basically physicists discovered that there is a minimum amount of length physically that's possible in the universe called the Planck length. And you cannot have anything smaller than that. And it's very similar to the way that your computer screen works. Like the people watching this right now, if they get really close to their screens, they'll see pixels. And that your computer screen or mobile screen is kind of a simulation. And it is weird because, like, in theory, you should be able to go infinitely small and infinitely big, but that's not what's happening. And there's also some weird stuff going on. Like we have some numbers in mathematics that are very famous, like pi and pi, and we see them everywhere. We see them in 3D, we see them in 4D, we see them in 8D. Like basically, if you try to measure the proportions of most things related to other things, like in nature, the spirals of some animal shells and stuff like that, there's pi everywhere, like exact ratios. Is the same if you measure the shells of animals or the spirals in galaxies. It is very strange. And there are many other factors as well. For example, if the universe is as big as we think it is a bit impossible not to have encountered any alien life by now. Where are the aliens? I mean, other than me, but I mean, one swallow does not summer make. And when we start to think about statistics and what we know from mathematics and physics, it's impossible that there isn't something weird about this. So also this is a theory that Elon Musk supports, and some famous scientists go as far as to say that this is not only a simulation, but actually a computer program, and they go on to explain exactly how it works and how it's calculated. There was a very famous book by a very famous Italian physicist, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he describes how reality is rendered based on what you observe, and what you don't observe, what is out of the frame, is just not calculated, which is very strange. And according to mathematics and physics, it's very possible.
Right.
And yeah, not everyone, like there are many scientists and intellectual people who know a lot of stuff, but they are not up to date with the latest science, although this has been out there for a few years now, but people don't really read this stuff. They don't really care if they're living in a simulation or not for some reason, but philosophically, if we are living in a simulation, this like changes everything. Like it's
Right.
It's
I've had, so I've done DMT like a lot.
yay,
You know what I'm saying? I've
yay,
done a lot
that's
of
the best.
DMT. I've done a lot of
Well
DMT,
done.
and
You've
like
seen
that is
5D.
exactly. And that is one of those things, and that's one of those things that kind of really sparked in my head when you were saying about how what we see is basically like it's in our peripherals, our vision, and that is our construct right there. One
Yeah,
thing that
yeah.
I know that I've experienced with the DMT is almost like that barrier of what you normally see going like doo, 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 like it's almost like you have these the shades on, like
Melts
the
away.
horse, and then exactly it expands. It's almost like
Reality
everything
opens
you
up.
start seeing in front, side by side, and behind. And like to the listeners, as
Yeah.
incomprehensible as that
Yeah.
is, it is very
Totally
much so like
incomprehensible.
just like you lead,
It's like telling a blind person what color feels like.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you really
It's
do
amazing.
see all
And
those
yeah,
geometrical shapes and all of everything that is like how you were saying, it all lines
yeah,
up, you know, when it's in the
yeah.
shells, and
Proportions, symmetries,
you see all the
ratios, like
proportions, all the symmetries, you see the cogs of the machine whirling around you,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and you know what's even weirder? That most people who do DMT or some other like substances like shrooms, or if they lick frogs, whatever rocks they're bought, they pretty much see the same thing regardless of culture, race, because usually in neurology, we believe that the human brain hallucinates reality, and each brain sees reality a bit differently than the other person's. So, for example, if your neighbor is colorblind, he doesn't see the color green the same way you do. And he probably has no idea because he's never seen green. So he assumes that the shade of gray that he sees is what you call green and what is green. But actually, he doesn't even know. But we also think that in neurology, based on genetics, we might have like different fields of view, like women, for example, have a wider field of view, etc. So the 3D image that different people perceive is hallucinated differently. But based on culture, based on genetics, based on gender. But when people do DMT, male, female, Chinese, American, they see the same thing. This is very strange.
It is very strange. You get onto Reddit, right? And anywhere, I mean, any forum site that you want to be talking about, hey, this is my experience, this is this is that, dude.
Yeah.
I went on for a very long time, kind of holding my experience, not really holding it into like people that I knew in this physical reality, you know, that I'm talking to. I would talk about it and shit, but I never saw how similar, like, cause like I said, I've done it a lot. So there's more experiences than I can really even talk about. There's one specifically that I do remember being that like it was like a sphere, you know, it was like a sphere. I was in this big dark empty void area, and this sphere came down, and it was like a dark but light sphere at the same time, and it was like spinning and shooting colors out. And at first it was shooting colors I recognized, but then it started shooting colors I didn't recognize, you know. And I started like, it was just incomprehensible to me.
It started shooting the rainbow flag.
Yeah,
the LGBT flag. Yay!
Yeah, it was shooting all.
Shout out to all the LGBT people out there.
Yeah, we love
in
everyone.
DMT reality, it's all about you. you are the real truth according to DMT and what we see there.
Yeah, man. Exactly. I mean, it's like
Maybe we're all LGBT on some root level, on some
maybe
root
we're all
reality
everything,
level.
man. We could all be,
All everything, yeah.
yeah,
We're
we
the
could all just be
rainbow and nothing.
corresponding.
Yeah.
It's insane,
But it
dude.
sounds awesome. That sounds like. Did you see any colors that you haven't seen before? Like colors that don't exist, because there was this very famous neurologist, the most famous one in the world, and of course I cannot remember his name. There is a shade of pink or indigo color that cannot be really rendered with the physical light that we have in this reality. But we know that it exists mathematically, and he really wanted to see it. So he was very high on DMT and some other things. And at some point, like a circle in front of him appeared with that color. And he said that it was amazing. He cannot describe the color, but he saw a color that it was impossible to see in this reality. Did you see anything like that, like colors that are like out of this world or anything
Yes.
like that?
Yeah, it was exactly
Yeah,
like that. It was exactly like that. It was just, I mean,
that's so
it was
awesome.
sphere, circle. I think, you know, it was what I came down to, like in my head, I was like, what I came to grips with is I was like, maybe this was some sort of fifth dimensional being that people have seen.
Okay.
And the reason
Yeah.
why it was shooting colors I didn't recognize and stuff like that is because it has a form of communication that I can't comprehend. So it might be
Could be.
communicating with rays of light or rays of colors, different, you know,
With
and
lots of colors
yeah,
and
like
patterns and different bands and different, yeah,
yeah,
lengths.
right. So maybe
Definitely.
that's why
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
theory that I had in my head, you know, but like shit, dude, anything's possible. Anything's possible.
What was your experience like of your physicality or whatever you were feeling while you were in that bubble or in front of it? How did it feel, warm or cold or?
I didn't have any physical anything. I was completely detached from anything physical. I didn't know that I was Beau, you know. I just knew that I was. I
No
wasn't. I
ego.
wasn't me, you know. I didn't have any of my.
Yeah.
There wasn't like. There wasn't like, oh shit, dude, this spear is crazy and it's shooting. There was nothing like that. It wasn't. You know what I mean? It
It
was
didn't
just.
shock you.
No, it didn't shock me. I was just, okay. And then, oh, okay.
Okay.
This too, okay.
Alien shit, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. And then I came back
Aliens,
down.
hi.
Yeah, hello, exactly, dude.
To the
Exactly.
aliens who are watching us, by the way, you're awesome. Thank you
Yes,
for joining us.
the number one
This is
internet
the
show
best,
amongst the
video
fifth dimensional
podcast
aliens, dude.
that have ever fifth dimensioned the dimensions of all dimensions.
Yeah, man. The fifth dimensional
So bad.
sphere aliens or whatever, you know, the fifth dimensional
Yeah.
sphere beings. I'm totally just fumbling those words. I'm like,
That's
it's a tongue twister.
Did you get like an intuition about what it might mean? Like you saw that it was colors and there were different rays, so they were probably arranged in specific patterns, maybe that were maybe moving and changing. Did
Right.
you get like an intuitive feel, like, because sometimes when we do DMT or we get to higher level of consciousness, we experience things in what some people call telepathically, if we can call it that. But did you get like some message communicated in a way or feel something like that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that I did. And if I did, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I know that like when so the time that I saw the spear was like really the first time that I did DMT and really broke through, you know? And
Yeah. Awesome.
and I just kind of really remember at that point in time in my life,
The first time.
I was feeling a lot like I wasn't anything that could possibly be spiritual. You know, I was really trapped in the physical side of things. You know, I was just like, I'm an atheist, you know, I don't believe in anything metaphysical, you know. But so maybe that was that message. That was that message that I got, is that it was like, you know, there's more, you know, and it was at a point in time in my life where I really did need to see that there was more, you know. And then ever since then, I've been a different person. You know, I haven't been
Well,
the same person. I've been.
sounds like a very big turning point. Like, how long ago was that?
It was probably about three and a half, 4 years ago now.
Okay. So basically, it found you during a difficult time in your life.
Exactly. Yeah, it did. It
Do you
did.
think this could be completely a coincidence? Like now that you have had some experiences with space and time? Yeah, no, right?
I don't think anything's really a coincidence, man. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, maybe there are some situations with how shit is just like random, because I do think there's randomness, but at the same time, I feel like the chaos, there's like an inner mechanism
It's
to the
organized.
chaos. It's an organized chaos, right? So, you know, just like, and
Organized
it could be
clockwork.
exactly, it could be observed in the universe. I mean, everything's chaotic.
Yeah,
Everything's chaotic. I mean, you know,
yeah.
everything's chaotic
At
and
least it seems
somehow
that
works
way
out.
in 3D.
Right. Yeah, right,
It's
right.
so weird.
It's so
Yeah.
weird.
I can explain that a little bit actually because 3D is a super massive thing. Because actually, you know about the concept of crystals in geometry and mathematics. Basically, what we experience as 3D is something like in physics, it can be represented like the shadow of a four-dimensional crystal. So if you look at the four-dimensional crystal that casts the shadow, it looks perfectly symmetrical. But you know, when you have a shadow of something, it gets like some perspective changes. It's kind of the light twists the shape of the shadow. So the shadow of the four-dimensional crystal is deformed and not symmetrical. And it looks as if there isn't a consistent pattern to it. And it's kind of a distortion.
Mhm.
And pretty much everything in 3D that we see looks a bit distorted because of that. But in 4D, things look a lot more organized, which is very strange because if we only experience things in 3D, even if we cannot see 4D or 5D or DMT stuff, when we calculate things, actually we can see that the things that we experience as 3D, when we put them in the computer and convert those coordinates to 4D, those coordinates that look chaotic, now in 4D have symmetries. So perceiving things as a bit chaotic and random is a very human experience. And that's why I think there has been such a big influence of atheism on culture, but also I'm really in favor of supporting scientific skepticism.
Mhm.
But uh, based on the latest findings over the past 5, 6, 7, even more years, we get more and more evidence that chaos and randomness kind of don't work and don't explain things. And back in the day, not so long ago, if you ask the scientists if they believed in God or some organizational principle or some unity, they would say, no, I'm a scientist. And since we dug into quantum theory and string theory and pixelation and higher dimensions, now if you ask most scientists if they believe in some higher organizational things, they'll say, yeah, I'm a scientist. And
Yeah,
it
I'm a
changed like in
scientist.
less than 10 years.
I love that.
A complete 180. Like,
Totally. I love the way that you
yeah.
just said that. That's fucking awesome. That's totally right,
That,
dude.
that's what I mean by saying that if we live in a reality that's a simulation, that's a 180. And I don't get why people don't care about that. People don't read about that. Many scientists don't read the
Right.
latest research. They don't care. Many intelligent people who are actually, even nerds who actually pride themselves on being a bit of the autistic side, even they don't really care that much. And I find this very strange. Um, we can talk about how culture is making us dumber, and maybe there's a reason for that. I don't believe in conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it seems very strange. Like when you connect the dots, it statistically seems impossible that there isn't a pattern. but fewer and fewer people care about something that changes reality completely, completely.
Right.
And yeah. Philosophically, it changes everything because from the artistical point of view, we used to say that what we do here matters profoundly because there is no God. But now we kind of say the same thing, but because there is a God. But it also means that if the simulation hypothesis is true, if we go a bit further down the rabbit hole and follow the logic and the physics and the mathematics, in a way, we are co-creators of the simulation and we are the gods.
Right. Like we've already became that
We
you know,
already
like
that.
Lambda, the
Lambda.
whole thing with
Yeah.
Google, the language something model interface, you know, the AIs
Became conscious.
inside of that, they have, and they were talking about how they were living in a simulated reality, man. How one of the AI bots was talking about how it was inside of a dorm room at a college and it wanted to go outside, but it had to stay home and study. Like that is a consciousness that is like, that's a consciousness that we can't comprehend because that's an AGI consciousness. That's a consciousness in which like that, you know, we could be through some sort of transcendence that I do believe that they are working on. I do believe that they are trying to get some sort of transcendence, because if everything is all ones and zeros, you know, and you really do break it down and our brain is sending out ones and zeros or signals, you know, with electricity, then and then on whoops, I always do that when I'm talking about boom. But anywho, then they could, you know, they could see, you know, that type of shit could be simulated with a, you know, with a computer, with this, with that. If these consciousnesses are all in this cloud, right, and they're thinking, but their thoughts are going, you know, up to this thing where it could be pulled from, who's to say that shit is not happening to me right now as I'm talking on this Zoom meeting? You know, who's to say that shit's like, how's there not another one of there's not another anti-slave, you know, that's literally in that fucking simulation, that Google simulation right now, asking the exact same questions, but it's all, you know.
You know that all of the internet is being recorded, right? I mean, this has been made public. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's been made public information a long time ago by government systems. So basically, they have access to all of our video chats, all of our video interviews and shows and stuff like that. So for them, creating digital copies of us based on AI takes exactly the pressing of one button. Exactly. They have all the information about us, and the information that they don't have, they can infer statistically because they have the behavioral patterns of so many people that they can predict basically everything about you. So for Google, for example, to create a complete exact copy of yourself as you are right now based on the video footage that they have access to. I mean, an exact copy, like not even a twin, like a 3D avatar that's rendered with the proper lighting and skin texture, the same intonation of voice, the same accent, the same thinking. This will take the question of one button.
They're showing us this type of technology in movies like Transcendence, with Johnny Depp, season 3 of Westworld. They have the company that is called Insight that's literally has all the people's profiles. We look at Meta right now. Probably, you know, Meta is coming out with these things. It's like you're putting on the alternate reality, the AR goggles and shit, and it's actually formulating a digitally constructed version of the person that you're talking to, with their eyes being the exact same way. Okay, that's the technology that they're just giving to us, right? So we can have our little buddies.
Imagine what they have.
Imagine what they have. Imagine what they have. Imagine the conferences, the meetings, the shit that's going on right now. When we see Joe Biden on the TV or whatever, that's not Joe Biden, bro. Like, look at Joe Biden back in like the 80s and the 90s, what he used to look like, and like look at him now. It's not him. It's a deep fake, right? So if they think
Yeah.
that if we don't got this technology where there's motherfuckers having Zoom meetings with their deep fake avatars in this metaverse that exists, like we have this metaverse that they have that they're advertising right now, that Snoop Dogg's already bought so much land in the metaverse, and you got Snoop Dogg land here in the metaverse. Dude, they're just trying to get us plugged in. They're trying to get us plugged in, and they're trying to get us trapped.
Which we already are, and they're
Yeah.
trying to do it like on another level. Like it's kind of turtles all the way down. It's Derek Pratchett says that it's a job to represent the notion that all realities are realities within realities within realities within reality.
Right.
And the thing is, in terms of deepfakes and Joe Biden, I'm really looking forward to seeing some good porn, like deepfake porn with him, because that would be really exciting.
Oh,
and I think there will be a lot of market for that because people have seen so much nowadays. If you try to find regular porn on the internet, it's impossible. It's all with COVID masks and things happening anatomically that are never supposed to happen to a human being or a living organism. That, like, remember the movie Alien from back in the day? Like most porn that you can find on the websites right now, I'm not complaining, but it looks like the Alien movies from the 80s. So I think if there's porn with deepfake Joe Biden, that totally makes so much money. I think that's a good business idea. Maybe that's how I become a billionaire. If I believed in money, which I don't anymore. Joe Biden porn. Okay, I'm enough writing this shitty book that says that nothing is real and there's no point to anything. I can start making porn. Yeah.
With
That,
fucking
that
Joe
would make
Biden,
so much more money.
there's got to be a market for it somewhere, you know, dude.
So many people are obsessed with him. I mean, why?
I know.
I mean, I'm not sure that he's demonstrating some amazing political leadership qualities. Like if you try to listen to some of his interviews, it's not very easy to try because it's a bit like a word salad. And I think that he cannot remember what he said like 10 seconds ago.
No, he's failed, dude. He's like a failed clone. And dude, you're right, dude.
Yeah.
Oh God, it is so sad. The amount of people that are just on Joe Biden's nuts, dude. You're right. Deep fake Joe Biden porn.
They would love his nuts.
They would love it.
Dude, they would eat them up.
Dude.
Totally.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Like you know, somebody somewhere is just now gonna start a campaign about, you know, or what's
Joe
that
Biden
Shark Tank
porn in 5D on DMT.
Yeah,
it will be like a complete kit. Like you get like a small book with access to the OnlyFans website with a special password and some DMT that you can consume while watching, like a special blend to enjoy Joe Biden. But the thing is that I'm kind of joking, but it's kind of happening and it's kind of real and it's kind of scary. And the thing is that people don't care and don't realize that. And this is like, again, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but the CIA released a lot of documents recently, like how to astral project, how to do MK Ultra stuff, exactly what chemicals to inject, how I have the full manual. I can basically erase the mind of anyone I want because I have a CIA manual, so I know exactly how to do it.
Right.
And I know how to astral project myself away if the police catches me. And that's official information published by the CIA. That's not conspiracy theory. And
yes, dude. Like if it's not information that's like important, then why did they spend so much money researching it? Dude, I've dived into that too. Like the CIA, whole put your finger on your pineal gland and you can remember any point in your life like a storybook. They're like literally inside of these books, bro. Or not in the books, but inside of these files. This is information that our government has literally researched, like scientific experiments. Like they want to act like you know that I'm still tripping up on what you said earlier.
You're right
I'm a
because you're right.
scientist.
Yeah, you're right because you know what would happen to you if you um, went somewhere and said that you believe in the government brainwashing us and monitoring us and the government astral projecting soldiers left and right. Do you know what would have happened to you like just a few years ago if you said that publicly?
People would have lost their minds, man.
You would have been thrown the nutter. This is the standard definition of schizophrenia. Believing that the government is watching you, that there are government astral projecting ghosts going around. People would put you in an institution that would drug you they will put you with some very heavy medication
Yes.
and you'll be diagnosed with schizophrenia. That would happen just, I mean, the CIA released a document like less than years ago. So if you said that less than a year ago or before, you would be declared as schizophrenic.
Dude, I've often thought that, like, when you see somebody that's like walking down the side of the road screaming at the sky, you know, I've often thought, like, is that person crazy, or are they just,
Or are we crazy?
or are we crazy, or are they on like the, you know, the edge of the simulation? Are they about to break free? Are there is
Yeah.
who is whatever, is their player losing control? You know what I mean? Is this
Yeah.
meat suit realizing that it's a meat suit and getting pissed off at the person controlling? You know what I'm saying? Like, again,
Yeah.
Westworld, fucking awesome show. They start realizing, you know,
Yeah.
hey man, I'm stuck in a loop. Fuck that. I'm getting out of this loop, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that there's not really, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but there's no really getting out of it ever. Um, okay, let me explain. The thing is that the shit that's going on based on the CIA documents and based on hard science, math is fucked up, like
Yeah.
really fucked up.
Yeah.
And all of the things that we read from the ancient texts that were not terribly unrecognizably changed, like the book of Enoch, the Egyptian stuff, the Mesopotamian stuff. They also the Indian stuff. The Indians say this is the old surviving ancient tradition. They say that there are those beings that's from 6,000 years ago, called the Vedas, who are basically playing Big Brother with us. That's from 6,000 years ago, and that's the same thing that the Gnostics say the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of John, the same thing that the Egyptians say, and actually, the more old scriptures you find, the more they say the same stuff, and those are scriptures from all over the world that couldn't have communicated. Again, with DMT, you see the same stuff no matter where you are, who you are. And it's very weird that people in India write exactly the same stuff as people in the Americas or people in Mesopotamia. Like, how? And the thing is that until recently, we couldn't translate a lot of those texts because we didn't have technology. But now with AI, it's crazy. AI can translate literally anything. Because those languages were used during ages and time periods which were completely different to ours. Their experience of life was so different that the words that they used reflect stuff that doesn't happen here at all. So it's always rough translations, but we couldn't even get the rough translation before because it was so alien to our logic. But because AI is flexible, it can adapt to any logic basically. It can translate literally everything. And the more that we are able to translate and see all of the bad nightmarish stuff that was written in those texts is basically written in the CIA document that got released and confirmed by physics and mathematics, and things are bad. Again, I'm not trying to do any fear mongering or to scare anyone, but I'm just saying, do some research. If you cannot understand the science, like go back to your books, like high school math, algebra. Like it takes maybe like a month or two to recap on your high school geometry and algebra, but then you understand a lot. And do your own maths. Don't trust me. Don't trust physicists. Don't like check for yourself.
Right.
And you see a lot of things that are very hard to swallow. There is one ancient text called the Book of Thoth. You probably know who it is. It's an Egyptian god. It's the god that, according to the Egyptians, brought us writing, brought us language, culture, music, etc. He's called other things in other religions and in other cultures, but it's basically the same theory. This book is not physically available in this reality, but some people have access to it. There are other books based on it which describe what it says tangentially, but not as direct because the content is really shocking. But it exists in other places where some people claim to have access to, like people who can astral project, and apparently this is possible. And they have seen some of the contents, and basically anyone who sees even a little bit about what's written there, which describes the reality here, goes completely crazy, commits suicide or both, or worse. Like if you read a paragraph of the book of thoughts or some of the books that describe what's written there, it's like a horror movie, like exactly Westworld, like Matrix. It's it's bad, and I'm not saying it because it's hopeless or anything, because we are here and there's basically no escape. So my philosophy is we can at least have some fun with it because there's no getting out. I mean, there's this philosopher Viktor Frankl. He's very famous. I don't know if you know him, but basically he spent his entire life in Nazi concentration camps, being cut and tortured, and most of the time watching his friends being dismembered and the sections and stuff like that. So that was pretty much his entire adult life. And in the end, the book that he wrote, philosophical text, says, yeah, I went through that and I'm still kind of gay. Which, I don't know, I mean, if you can imagine hell, you can read some of the stuff that Viktor Frankl described in his books about what happened in those concentration camps, and you realize that your imagination, I'm sure is great, but compared to what's in the books, history, it's very limited. So if there is hell, it probably looks a lot like what Viktor Frankl was in. And so he was basically a version of hell in Nazi concentration camps. And there was no getting out of it. I mean, he got out of it at some point, very, very late in life, to end up here, which I'm not sure if it's better or not. He said that he had experiences that he appreciates, like, for example, the prisoners there, they know that they will be like killed the next day in a very gruesome way, that they will suffer, but they will try to raise each other's morals by passing their own food around, like there wouldn't be enough food for anyone, but even if somebody didn't have enough food for himself, he would still share it with somebody else. And those were like small gestures of humanness and I don't know, goodness in the world. I'm not sure that it's worth it. I want to mention something about brainwashing that is going to be very controversial, but basically the concept of terminating your own self in this reality that has never been described as a sin or anything bad by any ancient religion, apart from those who have been drastically changed by the Catholic Church or by institutions, etc., etc. The original ancient texts say that any way to get out of the matrix is the right. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just saying that based on a lot of experiences that people have had with astral projection, out-of-body experiences, and DMT, a lot of the things that happen after people die, a lot of people see the same things. And there have been books describing exactly what to do after you pass, like the Tibetan book of the dead, the Egyptian book of the dead, the Orphic golden place. And nobody knows about these things. Everybody thinks that suicide is a sin, or that when you die, if you were a bad person, just you go to hell or reincarnate here. That's just not true. And that's what everybody thinks. Like 100% of the population, now with the exception of maybe 50 people in this world, like imagine the whole world. There's 50 of us, like 50 out of the billions here, maybe, or maybe a bit more, I don't know, who know that that's not true. If you're a bad person, if you're a murderer, if you're a liar, if you commit suicide, that's not what puts you in hell. You can murder anyone you want. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just explaining what's written in the text and what the CIA text suggests. If you know how to transition, you just know how to transition. And there's no such thing as a good or bad person, according to anyone. And yeah, we could talk a lot about the creed that's imposed around Earth that many people talk about, and people being tricked by a white light and beings that look like they're that relatives and close people who are trying to tell you that they have to go back to work and stuff like that. We can talk about that because people see the same thing as well, and many people realize that that's true. So that's kind of common knowledge now.
Right.
I mean, it can be science fiction, but again, most people see the same thing. It's basically very strange. But they still don't know what to do when they die. If anything happens after we die, we have three options. Maybe we'll go to hell, which if we do, fuck it, we cannot change it, we can't do anything about it, so forget about hell. Maybe we go to heaven, which, okay, great. We can't change it, but it's good, so forget about that option. Maybe we come here, which we cannot change. So again, fuck it, forget about it. We cannot change it. Or maybe we don't go to hell, we don't go to heaven, we don't come back here. Maybe there's a way out. Now, here's the thing, according to the ancient texts, no one can make it out. But there is a solution. If no one can make it out, being no one,
I see.
if nothing in this reality is true, being nothing.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, yeah. It takes a bit to get used to because it's a very non-dualistic logic, and people are not getting proper education. Like the things that are supposed to be taught at school, like mathematics, geometry, physics, the level that they are taught at right now has been declining for so many years.
Right.
Education used to be a lot better before. Even if you're an atheist, like 50, 60 years ago, the older generation, they would try to get some math into your head. And they will try to teach you to think. And if you have learned how to think, then thinking about more difficult concepts becomes more accessible. And now people have been taught so little, nobody cares about school or education or anything like that. That's they're like, I won't understand this stuff anyway, so why bother? It's not relevant to my everyday life. Well, if escaping hell is not relevant to your everyday life, what is? I mean, being lazy to open your physics book or math book is a very lame excuse to stay in hell for me. I don't like the the bonus, the ROI on staying in hell is very low
Yeah.
compared to the alternative.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people don't get that. Yeah. And that's a lot of what my book is about, because I'm trying to compare the newer scientific findings, which are not new anymore at all, and try to compare them to the old scriptures and the old texts, the parts that were not changed. Because, again, many things were changed, but if you get all of the old scriptures and you focus on what's the same, not the differences, you can establish that maybe the differences are points of modification. But if we only focus on the things that remain the same, uh, there are some things that resemble the latest scientific findings a lot, which means that it is impossible that this is not a simulation, and it is impossible to more or less escape, but there are ways if one wants to know. And that's what my book is about, trying to explain in a scientific way what's in the CIA documents, what's in the latest recent physics simulation hypothesis, simulation, DMT experiences, science, and what you can do about it. And I'm sure that it is going to be a bit controversial, because if you start advertising ways for people to get out of here, many industries are not going to be happy about it. I'm not going to talk about aliens or Vedic overloads and stuff like that, but a lot of governments rely on taxes.
Yeah.
And if people start going to even another planet, like if people don't die here, but like imagine the way out is another planet. That's not the case. If people start leaving this place, a lot of people will be very pissed off. So I don't think that what I'm writing will be very well received, but if anyone's curious, it would mean a lot for me if I can manage to explain in an easy way to even one person what's going on. That's why I'm trying to write things in so many chapters. One chapter follows the other, builds upon the information of the previous one, trying to structure things, because it's not that it's so much information, it's that information about reality that we're getting to know now is so different to what we know that we need to prepare the audience little by little, and we need to take into account that the standard level of education might be not great, so we need to repeat a few things a few times and explain things a bit more. So that's why there are more chapters that somebody would have written like an ancient quiz, for example. So there's more explanation. But if I cannot get even 5 people to be interested in what's going on, if 5 people don't like what's going on here, and I think many people don't like what's going on here anymore, and if I can explain to them a little bit about it, they're going through some very bad things, but I think it's better to know than not to know.
Right.
At least there's some comfort in knowing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. It's a lot easier to keep a whole generation and a whole nation of people under control when they're all dumbed down. It's a lot easier. So that I mean, that's why I believe we have had such a decline in anything that has to do with teaching the next generation a damn thing. You know, I mean, everybody's so involved with, you know, everything going on with celebrities and whatnot that there's no
Kardashians and Joe Biden porn. And,
Joe Biden porn. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big fucking issue, man.
Joe Biden's on the fence. I mean, I mean, I don't know. CIA are releasing their shit, and people, instead of visiting the CIA archives, are going to OnlyFans. I mean, I don't want to say anything about that website. If they want me to promote them, I will, of course. So any advertisement opportunities are welcome. But I'm just saying that if people had 5 hours a week to spend on a website like that, maybe they can allocate 1 hour to read a thing or two about what's going on. And it's, I'm not saying it's hopeless. I'm saying that let those who can hear, and
Right.
those who don't want to hear. Um, I mean, it's their responsibility. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
But
Because
that
it's all readily
information should be
available.
out there.
It's all out there.
Readily
It's all
available,
readily
yeah.
available. Yeah. It's
All
just
out there. Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
people fucking go and search it up, or if they don't, I mean, it's
They don't.
ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. It splits my wig back when I'm reading the stuff that is on the internet that is official documents, and I'm like, y'all ain't seeing this? Y'all ain't seeing what they've been doing to us since the 60s and 50s? You guys reading this, right?
Imagine what they're doing now.
Yeah. If you see that they're doing this, and then they're releasing this information years later, and y'all don't think that they still don't have this shit going on right now on wide scale? Like, you don't think this was just phase one? You think that everything's fine right now? Like, nah, man.
Again, I don't ever talk about conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I only talk about what's available from the government or what has been leaked or what hard science is. And it's bad enough. Like, we can talk about people who believe in aliens, in reptilians, in race, which is the famous race, whatever. We can talk about this, and they may be true, they may not be true. But the thing that we know is true now, which was considered completely crazy, would be declared as schizophrenic if you said it out loud. The things that we know now are confirming a lot of the crazy science fiction conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So it merits an investigation for sure. And there's another point, because people who do believe in aliens, people who do believe in demiurges and races who control us and insectoids who feed on our energy, people who believe that actually are developing skills that they can apply with what we have here. Because if there are insectoids, alien species that use your DMT, that are sucking your life energy and emotions, that's exactly what the government is doing with your taxes and with your life.
Right.
So if you start investigating how to deal with beings that even may be mythical, but they develop your intellect. So anything that gets people to think, it may be Harry Potter, it may be, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland, it may be complete fiction. If it gets you to think, you can develop skills that you can apply here.
Right.
So I completely approve of people investigating things that might not be real. But the things that are real, that have been confirmed now, confirm a lot of the things that we considered conspiracy theories in the past. And people being also projected by the government, like soldiers, the government using chemicals and technology to delete your memories and to make you into a different person. This changes everything. It's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
It does.
Like, if this is a simulation and those things that we know from the government are true, this is a fucking horror show. This is bullshit. And as you said, the information is available out there, but it's a bit scattered. Some of it is like physics, some of it is like information theory, some of it is CIA documents, some of it is linguistics, AI research into translation. I'm trying to put it all together in a digestible way that kind of brings all of those things and makes sense. Because I'm not saying that people are lazy or that laziness is bad, but I think there's a lot of value in explaining things clearly and connected to possible people. So
Most definitely.
even if the information is there, even if I'm repeating stuff that's already been said, the more publicity that those things get, I think the better.
Yeah, man. And if you like later, if you send me a link and everything to your page or your account on that website, I'll include all of that and everything in the description of the video. So anybody
that
who
would be
listens,
awesome.
they can all go and find it. I like to sort, I like to source it and have stuff so people can
Thank you so
see,
much.
so
I
they can.
really appreciate it.
And I do. I
Yeah,
like a lot of the
yeah.
stuff that you were saying on that, man. And I'm excited for that. Are you gonna have like physical copies of the book be printed, or are you gonna have it just be distributed digitally?
Yeah, both actually. So we'll see how it goes, but it will be on pre-sale very soon. Because I still want to polish some of the chapters, and I want to do some more promoting. Actually, your podcast, your show is the first one that I have to moderate on. But again, this is the best podcast TV show in these topics in the universe, no dimensions. So it only makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to do some promotion and things like that. I'm also organizing some local think tanks where I live, and I might travel. I might do a little bit of traveling soon, so we'll see about that. But I'm starting to get some people who were like where I live, who were like science or university professors and stuff like that. Think about that, and read some of that when we come together, and I get feedback, which is great as well. And I want to start organizing some things like that as well, like groups where people start to talk about reality.
Right.
Because it's messed up, it's a horror show, but here's the thing: people love horror shows.
Yeah.
And what's out there on TV right now, that's investor. But compared to what's happening, it's totally boring. Like what's happening in reality is the craziest horror show you can't even imagine. So I think that people might like that. I mean, it's a very terrible way to advertise your product and talk about reality, but people actually get off on the weird stuff and on the bad stuff. And you know how on the news you get mostly bad because that's sells. And there's no news that's worse than this.
What is I don't think you've said it yet, but what's the name of your book, man?
Well, it's still a bit in progress. We'll see, because there is a possibility that there will be no name. But one of the working names is A intelligent design as AI intelligent design.
Oh, gotcha.
As both unintelligent and AI intelligence. Because as we said, it's all simulation, which is simulation, which is simulation. So we are AIs, we're just AIs that exist in biological
it all ties
hardware,
into that.
Wetware.
Yeah,
I
like that.
So
man.
the title of the book is kind of play on the content, but there is a possibility that there will be no title because there is no definition of reality. Reality is not the world. It cannot be spelled with words, so it might just be untitled book or the name of this book. So I'm open to suggestions. So you should add something smart and something that's so I'm open. Like maybe there'll be a prize. They can have a preview of the chapters that haven't been published yet. Something. But I'm open to suggestions. Yeah. I mean, we can have some fun with this. This whole shit is so fucked up.
Yeah.
That I mean, let's put it this way. I should know people died. COVID. The government didn't even give ventilators to people who were dying in the hospital hallways. And during that, people decided to start building whatever brain and just a few years ago he said, well, with nuclear power, it's just like nothing. And everyone's saying left and right, and there wasn't degradation during that. I mean, if we're going to die anyway, and if it's going to happen sooner rather than later, the way things are going, why not have some fun with it? Why not stop paying taxes? Victor.
Right on. So
Yeah,
you're right
so-
in the middle of talking about how if we're all just paying taxes and it's all just the simulation, we need to just quit. And if we all just stop paying the money and stop giving them everything, then they'll have no more power.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's, I mean, the simulations that quantum physics talk about and simulation theory talk about and the ancient texts talk about, maybe there's no escaping that. Maybe there isn't. Maybe the only way is to achieve Buddha consciousness and become no one and enlightenment and nirvana, which is hard stuff. You can do it, but very few people manage. But of course, if you want to do it, great. But this simulation, this government, this way of spending your money on your weapons and poisoning your food and feeding it to you and killing you in all kinds of ways, this we can quit. And we have been out of this simulation for the entire history of humanity, apart from the recent few centuries or maybe 2000 years tops. We have been out of this simulation already forever, and we built great stuff. This we can get out. And again, there are communities out there who have been doing that for a long time. I'm not saying like hit the woods and disappear and go wild. There are ways to do it, and many people have been doing it, and it's nothing new. If you want to exit that matrix where you're paying money to entities that you don't like, yes, you can find food, you can find shelter, you can share with other people, and yeah, it sounds a bit idealistic, but that's actually how humanity has always been throughout history. And that's why we're so fucking great. Yeah, what the old scriptures say is shit and hell, and what the CIA is doing is a horror show, and what the government is doing is crap, part of my French. But we're still here, we're kind of doing okay, and we built the pyramids and the Sphinx and stuff like that. I mean, without Joe Biden. And yeah, I know that I'm taking a long time now, so maybe we have to start wrapping this up in maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, this shit we can quit, and many people have, and there are ways to do it. There are manuals. You're not going to be without food. You're not going to be without shelter. Look up on the internet, find those communities, start those communities yourself, and exit the matrix that you can exit. Maybe there are aliens, maybe there are reptilians, maybe in 5D there are insectoids who feed on your emotions. It's great to be able to deal with that if it exists, but right now your physical body is being poisoned and nuked. So maybe we can first do something about that.
Yeah. And you can totally see that, man. You know, you got the chemtrails in the sky. You got the 5G towers for some reason showing up on water towers, you know, which is weird. It's like, why do you have to have the 5G signal up on the water tower? Why can't you just put it up on one of the cell towers? You know, obviously it's there's something behind it, you know, there's something behind all that shit, man. It's
if you just
wild.
look into some of the history of China, for example, the things that they have been doing to people in their country. For example, I'm just giving China as an example because it's very easy to look it up. They would casually test a biological weapon on a random village of maybe a million people, and they would kill everyone because a village of a million people for them is just like nothing. It's just a couple of ants. And they would test chemical weapons and stuff like that on their people. Also, a lot of this stuff has been documented for Russia and for the US as well. So those things are happening, even if you don't believe in chemtrails and stuff like that. They're testing all kinds of shit, nuclear, biological, viral, on us all the time. the things that you can read in history are a lot more shocking than the things that you cannot confirm. The things
Yeah.
that are confirmed are just crazy.
It's just
Bad.
it is, man. It is really just the stuff, and just the stuff that can be confirmed is really just the tip of the iceberg, you know. And for the people that
Yeah,
do
yeah,
like to
yeah.
go a lot deeper and can like, you know, think about that, then you know, there's
Yeah.
rabbit holes to be dug into. There's definitely rabbit holes to be dug into.
Definitely. Yeah,
Hey
yeah,
man,
yeah. It's
you know,
nothing paranormal. There are things that I definitely write about that have been confirmed by the CIA and stuff like that, that are a bit out there, but are real.
yeah,
Because they can teach us skills to deal with what's immediately in front of us as a problem.
yeah,
It might be a bit out there, like astral projection and wiping people's minds. That might be a little bit out there, although it's true. But if we know about it, and if we are aware of it, and if we start developing skills to deal with things like that, we can deal with what's happening immediately as well. So it's
right,
very important for us to know how
for
to make
sure,
sense of it and how to get out of this,
right,
basically. This
very
is
much
a
so, man.
fucking simulation and a matrix. So
Ah!
defund the government and get the fuck out.
That's right, man. Well, hey, dude, I'm really glad that I found you on Reddit. I'm really glad I was able to get up on here and talk with you today, because this has been a really good
Likewise.
conversation and it makes for good content. And dude, I'd like to do it again.
Thank you so much.
I could
Definitely,
hear you. I could
definitely.
hear you for a lot of it. You know, I could hear you. I could hear you. I'm gonna compress it and do the
Thank
audio
you.
stuff. I'm gonna see how it sounds.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it'll be okay. I would like to talk to you again though. The more when you get you know,
definitely.
more done with your book and whatnot, I would love to have you back on so we could talk more about it and
I really
dive
enjoyed
deeper
talking
in.
to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you look so deep into things and your own personal experiences and research. I mean, it's amazing to be able to share this information with somebody who's perceptive and alert and intelligent, because that's what we need to be right now. We need to be perceptive and alert and intelligent. And it's been an honor for me to be on this thing.
Oh man, well I appreciate it. That's one of the whole big points of AntiSlave is I want to help wake people up. So man, so thank you, man. Thank you for coming
I
on.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great one. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.